consultants along the way or anything that I'm not bitter about.
What did I walk into?
Oh, just sub boxing.
There's the feedback.
There it was.
YouTube Live is live.
$7 minutes early.
Yeah.
How was your trip?
Very enjoyable.
Yeah, good
Weather
time.
cooperated, didn't run into too many logistical issues.
Thanks for a good trip then.
I've come to terms with the punches my wallet's taken.
Yeah.
Very happy. It's very happy that this Friday is gonna help.
There you go.
Then
Assume Holly's not here.
I'm gonna guess no. Yeah. I didn't hear that she was coming. For 10 minutes.
What's the wait with somebody?
Jason. So. Technically it is.
Are you all able to hear me?
We can, Jason. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you bet.
I will now call to order the September 25th, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Hillary, would you call the roll, please? Oh, I'm sorry, 5:45 p.m.
Thank you. Thompson.
Here.
Steiger. Samuelson.
Here.
Forrest.
Here.
Grant. Brown. Reaganitor.
Here. Item number 3 is the approval of tonight's agenda. Any changes or additions to this evening's agenda? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion in a second to approve the agenda for tonight.
Force
Brown
motions.
motions. Brown second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item number 4 is the approval of the September 11th, 2023 minutes of the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Any revisions or additions to the September 11th minutes? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion in a second for approval of the September 11th, 2023 minutes.
Thompson motion.
Samuelson will second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Item number 5, we'd like to welcome all the guests that have joined us here in person and on the Zoom tonight. Is there anyone here in person who wanted to make a public comment on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? Anyone on Zoom who wanted to make a comment about an item that's not on tonight's agenda? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to item number 6. This is a public hearing and recommendation on an amendment to the Hughes Century Crossing Plan Unit Development to allow for a single user storage building as a use in PUD Parcel H. So one thing that I want to say at the front of this item, there was an issue where some residents did not receive notice of tonight's meeting until today due to the mailing system or, circumstances unknown to the city. And so we are going to begin the public hearing tonight for anyone who's here to speak on that item. But we're going to keep the public hearing open until we conclude that item's public hearing at the next meeting. And that next meeting will be October 9th. And so that will give everyone who would like to make a public comment on this issue an opportunity to do so if they wish. And so with that, Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
Yep, so the request that you
And
received.
somebody opened the public hearing, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna open the public hearing at 5:48 p.m. Thanks, Hillary.
Thank you.
Yep, so the request here is related to land use parcel H in the Hughes Century Crossing Planned Unit Development. That's the parcel outlined here on the map, bordered to the north by High Road between Cherry Parkway and East 17th. Specifically dealing with the western part of this that has had temporary parking use on it recently. The request from the applicant is primarily related to adding a storage building as a permissible use on the site. When the PUD went under revision last year, the parcel H here was slated for R2 uses, and then it had some additional uses, which included off-street parking. And that was one of the things noted in the initial notice for the public hearing and the request tonight. That's already listed as a legal use. So primarily what we're talking about is having a storage bin, or excuse me, a storage building as a principal use. Generally, in the R2 district, a storage building, whether it's a garage, shed, or a combination of the two, would be considered an accessory structure. You can't have an accessory structure on a parcel without a principal structure. In this case, in the R2 district, that would be single family home, duplex, or there's a few other uses that are permitted in residential areas that aren't necessarily a single family home or duplex, but that's what we most commonly see. So this would be asking for permission to put one of those accessory buildings there without said principal structure. Since that normally wouldn't be permitted in the R2 district, and I think in developing the PUD, we contemplated this developing a little bit more residentially in nature. The staff recommendations for denial of that, I think we'd like to see that develop more in the spirit of the R2 zoning rather than in the manner proposed. So that's staff recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions about the proposal, and I know that we've got several folks here tonight who would like to contribute to the public hearing.
Perfect. Just one thing I wanted to mention to the commissioners, since we are gonna keep this open until next meeting. Let's stick to only questions tonight, and then try to leave our deliberations until the next meeting. I know sometimes we kind of let that flow freely since we're dealing with them all in the same night. And so is there a individual from the applicant or on behalf of the applicant who wanted to speak on this item? If you just come to the microphone and give us your name and address, please.
Named Casey Scheidel. I am the owner of Heartland Sports Properties and have requested this change in use. Yes, I have purchased those two properties that sit west of the retention pond at this location that is currently a temporary parking lot. Due to needing more space on our site, I want to build a storage building on that to provide additional storage and use for the athletic facility, and then also expand the parking as well. The parking has not yet been completed on the north side of the facility. So I guess two different things here. I want to request this change for the use of the storage building and parking lot. If it is denied, I would probably still do a condo on the site as well, and have it as a rental for short-term, I guess, use of the facility as well. So it's kind of twofold here. First, I would like to do a parking and storage building. If not, I'd build a condo. So, but seeing that we're going to kick this down the road, I guess we can discuss more next time. That's all I have. Any questions for me? No. Thanks.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who are here in person who would like to make a comment on item number 6? Are there any members of the public on the Zoom tonight who would like to make a comment on item 6? If so, we just need your name and your address, please. Okay.
Hey, Megan,
Yeah,
Megan,
go
this is Jason. And I don't know if this question makes sense, and it would be directed to Casey, but I'm curious as to what has sort of changed in how he wanted to use this space that has led to this request. And maybe I'm not thinking about this correctly, but it seems like maybe there was going to be something that was originally intended here, and now he's thinking, Casey, are you thinking about using it in a different way? And if so, I'm curious about why. And maybe why wasn't that part of the original idea behind owning this piece of property? So does that question make sense?
Yeah, we need more storage from the sports complex side, and could always use more parking as well. Yeah, I know the rest of the parking lots aren't open, but when we are hosting events on that end of the facility, that seems to be the main entrance point to the facility. So it's kind of doing two things. It's adding additional storage that is lacking on the sports complex side, and adding some additional parking spots.
Got it.
And
that was just something you weren't necessarily anticipating that at the beginning. Is that the deal? And you've come to realize that that's the case?
Correct.
Okay. That's super helpful, Casey. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we have to maintain the retention pond space as a part of our parcel for the sports complex. So we are also the owner of the retention pond as well.
Are you the proud owner of the retention pond?
Yeah, love it.
Good.
So it just kind of makes sense that we already have that parcel there beside us, adding some additional parking as well. And adding the storage is the main component that I need out of that parcel.
If the storage request were to be denied, is there a place on the existing space where it is permitted that you could make that transition?
Possibly. I have some flat property that's east of the batting cages, if you know where that's at. That is kind of flat, that if I put an auxiliary building or something in there, that I could possibly do that as well. That is an option.
Any other questions for Casey before we? Would you like to make a comment? You won't be able to address directly to other public members, but sure, if you'd like to come up, you can ask it. And we'll just need your name and your address, please.
Chris White, 1424 East 13th. Question I have is that diagram gives you an idea of the whole parcel, but what I'm curious about is where would the proposed parking lot go relative to the temporary lot right now? And would the storage building go just to the west of that up to the property line there, or somewhere else on the property?
So Casey, if you're willing to answer the question about the parking, that's fine. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that the parking is permitted currently under the current zoning. So really, we're just dealing tonight with the storage piece.
Luke, I submitted a drawing of it there. That's how I would envision it.
Right. That's great, because we live right behind there and I get a pretty good view of everything that goes on each day and each night. So it's just curious as to where things are going to go. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public here in person or
Yes.
on the Zoom who wanted to make a comment tonight on item number 6? Any other questions from the commission? Okay, since we are going to keep the public hearing open until the next meeting on October 9th, I will entertain a motion to table this item number 6, keeping that public hearing open.
Force motions.
Samuelson will second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Forrest. Brown,
Aye.
Thompson. I don't know, I'm supposed
Technically, no.
to, okay, thank you. Samuelson, Reagan.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
I meant no as in no vote.
Gotcha.
Not no as.
Item number 7 is a public hearing and recommendation on an amendment to the Hughes Century Crossing Plan Unit Development to permit building separations of 10 feet and for total driveway lengths of 20 feet in PUD Parcel C. This is another public hearing, but we're gonna deal with this one in full tonight, and we'll open that public hearing at 5:59 p.m. Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
Yep, so this is a bulk regulation amendment that's being made to the proposed site. This is in an area designated for R3, medium density residential, and we've sat down and workshopped extensively with Tim and James over at Bishop, along with other city staff to try to figure out what's gonna fit here the best. And we came up with a bit of a concept. I'm actually gonna go ahead here, attempt to pull it up so that we can just see the, I thought I put it in this report, but it would be something like this. Again, we're still workshopping it, but they wanted to make the zoning proposal first in order to finalize the plans. And essentially, there'd be a unique unit type in the middle that would require some separation concessions, essentially akin to a 5-foot side setback between buildings, with a 10-foot building separation. And then our standard zoning code requires that R3 properties have parking spaces off street in addition to the garage spaces. So this amendment is written so that it gets split front to back. So this is a unique unit type with garage entrances on both sides. And it's almost like an all the way through garage on the ground level, but with access on front and rear. So this amendment is designed to accommodate that. I think we've got James and Tim on the line if they wanted to speak more about the unit type. And oh darn it, Jason can't see the hang on, Jason, I got you.
Thank you, Elliot. Appreciate it.
So the Jason, can I email it to you? Is that okay?
You bet. No problem.
But yeah, so that's all that I have from the staff standpoint. I'm happy to answer any questions, or as I said, Tim and James are on tonight.
So is the thought to them going back and forth so that there's a little bit of space and parking between the two as opposed to all being on one side?
Yeah, I think so. And it's not terribly common to have a garage door immediately at your property line.
Right.
That creates a host of issues, mostly I think the snow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you gotta have a little bit of room on that side to accommodate it.
Did the applicant want to make a comment on this item number 7?
I don't, this is Tim Portson here with Diligent. I don't necessarily have any comments. Happy to answer questions. I think Elliot laid it out pretty well. We're just looking for 10-foot building separation. The single family to the south is 5-foot setbacks as well. So not much different than the R2 to the south as far as building separation. And then as Elliot had mentioned, our driveways are a little bit smaller than the code required 22 foot. we do feel like that should still fit a full vehicle on the driveway. I also think that because this is more of an alley load type product, the concern about having vehicles stretch out over the driveway is a little bit alleviated with this. So happy to talk more about the product type or any other questions you have, though.
Good to be clear, this is not a site plan submission, so that would also come up as an item for your review and recommendation.
Is this okay for fire? Like the distance apart, that it's not too close for fire trucks? Or
Yes, so, and I'm not gonna try to explain the language in fine detail. Jeremy was very hands-on, our fire review guy. Was very hands-on with this in reviewing the separations involved. One of the main concerns for fire, and it's not illustrated on this rendition of the site plan, but was just the number of accesses and how far apart they are. So those curb cuts that go onto East 18th Street, had to do a little bit of finagling with where the street alignment ultimately will wind up. But to answer your question, yes.
Next, my question would be, do we typically, those interior units really don't have a sidewalk that goes anywhere other than the street, right? From a walkability standpoint, is there a concern there? 'Cause we're putting pedestrians basically on the drive aisles, right?
Yeah, I suppose I'd kind of defer maybe to James or Tim on the ultimate design. Again, the final site plan is still under work, but yeah.
Yeah,
Questions?
The south one, yeah.
South and north, they have them, but just not.
Yeah, it looks like, is the north, is that the bike trail?
Yes.
The north would be the bike trail, the south would be a sidewalk that serves those. I guess my only concern is those interior units and what we're doing there, because I'm assuming maybe I'm wrongly assuming that most of these buyers would be either young families or people that have small children, and we're introducing kids into an area where people are gonna be driving. I guess it'd be my only. I get the concept. I guess that'd be my only potential hiccup, is that we're creating a conflict there. And I don't know if there's a good solution to that, except you shove all those units to the north, you put them on you load them all from the south, you get rid of the drive-through concept. And then you put a sidewalk on the north, which are pretty even limited for what you can do there. Is there any thought to changing that? Or how that would work, given the space, or are you pretty much hemmed into the roadway alignment, given the dimensions of the parcel?
I think that's something that we could consider. Ultimately, I think the site plan, like Elliot said, still in work. I think your comment about having room for sidewalk and, reducing some of the driveway on the north side, I would say that kind of lends itself to making this PUD amendment even more important, I guess, to allow us to skinny up driveways as much as possible to leave room for pedestrian. I guess that's really the intent of this request, is to, we've already got 2-car attached garages. We've got parking stalls in addition to driveways, and we have driveways. So the request is to not require a 22-foot long driveway, so that we can attempt to make this as pedestrian friendly as possible beyond just connecting to the bike trail, having it be alley load, et cetera.
I think.
I don't know that we contemplated this, or if you guys had looked at full curb versus mountable curb, and if that makes it possible for there to be a sidewalk that would be able to more easily go through the we typically don't do that in town developments anymore, but a sidewalk on the back of the curb.
It's like snow removal, pain in the butt, but I guess
It's not a good option, but
is this a private road, or would this be?
This would be private.
Okay, so they'd be 100% responsible for the snow removal, so it's
Correct.
all on one person, so we're not plowing onto that sidewalk in that situation, right?
Yep.
Like I said, that's just the one thing that stood out to me when I was trying to look at this, is that I get kind of lessening the driveway requirement, but like I said, if you go back through there and you stick a sidewalk in there, then it really short circuits it.
You know, really the center units, center building's kind of the worst one because the other ones have a relatively short jaunt down to actual sidewalks on East 18th or getting over to the sidewalks that are on the outside of the site. So, yeah, those are just some thoughts. So.
Can I ask why it's a private road? I thought like years ago, we're trying to get away from private roads.
We allow private roads for residential development when it doesn't connect through to two public streets. So this would be like a wholly enclosed development. The only two entrances are the two out to East 18th. And in that scenario, we'll allow a private street.
What am I seeing for surface parking on here as well? I was looking, there's some surface parking on the very east end. There's a handful of spots.
Yeah,
North, south,
the-
east, west.
The quantities are a little bit different. This isn't the 100% most current version. And maybe James can speak on that a little bit more, but there is visitor parking on this property outside the driveways.
Well, is that, excluding it's not Chatham to the north, obviously, that is it, no,
Yeah.
is it?
Well, to the north would be the gas easement with the trail. And then there's a high density parcel that's about the same size
Okay,
before you got to Chatham.
so I guess I don't have a lot of issues, I think. My thoughts on, sorry, we're still public hearing, never mind.
Any other questions for the applicant? Nothing, will close the public hearing at 6:11 PM. And now we can deliberate, commission.
Like I said, my thoughts on garage requirements and parking requirements are well known, so I guess I don't really have a lot of issues with this PUD amendment.
What is a standard driveway? I mean, you talked about narrowing it up. Is there a bare minimum?
Length.
It's the length more so, well, and then we're splitting it up, right? Because it's like a single lane driveway on either side. But it's like what, 16 wide, and 20 deep
That's,
typically, but I mean
You're-
30 for a front yard setback in our standard zoning.
yeah,
So,
there's standard driveway, but then there's like the reality of, you know, most single family houses are 30 to 35 feet from the sidewalk essentially. So, you know, if you're in a typical suburban neighborhood, usually you can get two cars back to back going in your driveway. As opposed to just one if it was 20 foot.
Any other thoughts on this one? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the Hughes Century Crossing PUD to permit building separations of 10 feet and for a total driveway length of 20 feet in PUD parcel C.
Samuelson on motion.
Brown second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Brown,
Yes.
Thompson,
Aye.
Samuelson,
Aye.
Force,
Aye.
Reginator.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Item number 8 is a request from Quick Trip Inc. for approval of the site plan of Quick Star. Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
yep, same general area. This is the Quick Star site plan, as the name illustrates. It's located at the intersection of Hughes and Chatham, just east of Highway 28. And the road immediately across from Fairway to the north, and then Fairfield to the east. So this is the general layout of the site plan. The convenience store is located pretty much right in the center of the site. The fuel canopy on the north side. Access off of Chatham Avenue, and that'll be one of the main Highway 28 accesses. And then a little more facing towards the sports complex and the commercial area, a couple of drives off of Hughes Drive. I think the convenience store size is around 9,200 square feet or so, with 20 fuel pumps, 10 back-to-back in the canopy. I do have elevations on that are quite high res, so they load quickly. All right, well, there's your canopy. Canopy one, something that we had to ask them to do, and they did on this is our zoning code requires brick wrap around the support posts for the canopy. So got that here to help abide by architectural regs. And then I think most of us have probably seen a quick star before, and this is the exterior elevation. So not much else from the staff part. I guess the only detail that I might point out is the car wash is going to be on the south side of the building. So for circulation purposes, that's something that is considered on the site. Happy to answer any questions. We do have someone representing the project here tonight in person.
Would the representative of the applicant like to make any comment to the commission?
Good evening. My name is Casey Bonger. I'm a real estate manager for Quick Trip and Quick Star. First off, I want to thank the commissioners for reviewing our site plan, and also thank you to city staff for the multiple meetings and conversations getting us to this point. So I think Elliot went over it pretty good with our site. It is our newest generation 3 is what we call it, footprint, and it is 9,200 square feet. It's just a little larger than I'm trying to think, a couple in Urbandale, a little bit larger than that. So yeah, I'm available to answer any questions as needed.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public on the Zoom or here in person who wanted to speak on item number 8 tonight? Any questions from the commission?
What's in the northwest corner here?
These are the tanks.
It's underground.
Gotcha.
Selfish question, any EV chargers? Didn't look like I saw anything on the site plan.
We don't have any shown here at this point. I think we wire for them for in the future, but at this point aren't installing them.
Deliberation on this one. Exciting new addition. This one's been in the works for a little while, so that's exciting. Well, if there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to approve the site plan of Quick Star.
What's the motion?
4 seconds.
Would you call the roll, please?
Brown,
Aye.
Thompson,
Aye.
Samuelson,
Aye.
Forrest,
Aye.
Reagan.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Item number 9 is a request from Ryan Huseman for approval of the Huseman Edition preliminary plat and site plan. Elliot, would you brief us on this item, please?
Yep, so we got a couple elements here, prelim plat and the site plan, of course. You guys remember a couple weeks ago, the elevations came through for the hotel, which you guys recommended. still working on a little bit of workshopping before city council, but those are in the works. So these have not been brought back to you guys at this time. Everything else that goes into site plan and prelim plat is part of this submission. So this lays out where the approximate division of the lot is, roughly in half east and west. And then the site plan itself illustrates the footprint of the hotel being roughly in the center of the eastern parcel with access onto Chatham Avenue on the south and Hughes Drive to west. That's where the hotel is going to go. Yeah, that's about it from the staff perspective. There's they got the drive aisle cut in on the west side, so the western facade. I mentioned last week or last meeting about which of the elevations was going to be the front. Just a friendly reminder, that'll be the one with the car ghosted in here. And that's about it for me. This also preserves a development lot to the west for a project as yet to be determined. We do have folks present representing the project tonight. That's all I have. Happy to take questions.
Would the applicant or any of the applicant's representatives like to speak on item number 9 tonight?
Ryan Huseman Construction, 505 Southeast 14th Street. Here to answer any questions on our site plan tonight, or the outlet, I guess, that's shown above. Pretty straightforward. You've seen this a few weeks now, but yeah.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission on this side? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Huseman addition preliminary plat and site plan.
Brown motions.
Motion second.
Hillary, would you call the roll, please?
Thompson.
Aye.
Samuelson.
Aye.
Forrest.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Reaganitor.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to go back to a piece on item number 6. I apologize for going out of order. I neglected to mention that the commission had received a written submission from a Dixie Evans on that item. And I just wanted to note that that is part of what the commission is considering for that item. And so we'll move on to item number 10, city council update from David Lester. Anything for us, David?
That's fine.
Thank you. Holly hasn't joined us tonight, I don't think. But Luke, any community development update for us?
2 big projects tonight that you guys approved, that's all 4 corners of the kind of Hughes Chatham area are going now. I guess you guys still have one hard corner that's left, but so that's exciting stuff. On the Fields front, we did approve the final plat at council last week of Hughes Plat 7, which is Chatham Drive itself and East 18th. I've got a meeting tomorrow with everybody involved with the sports complex and the city and police and fire and everybody, just to get everyone on the same page with what the parking is going to be out there going forward. We'll put a new map out there and do a social media post. There's going to be a little bit of an incremental step opening up the parking, where we will open up the first stub of East 18th up to the parking lot later this week. And then Chatham will still be closed for that period of time. They still have to do some punch list items for Chatham's completion. So I would expect Chatham to open up here in another 2 to 3 weeks. So in the meantime, there'll be some extra traffic coming down Hughes High Road, some going on Richard George and Merle Huff and Cherry, as everyone snakes around off of Highway 28 and then back up to that other parking area. That is another 200 parking stalls that will open up for the the sports complex, so that's great. Eventually, things will be signed and kind of the main direction to get to the sports campus will be Chatham to East 18th and down to those parking lots. So that will alleviate some of that traffic concern. That'll be on High Road and Moral Health areas, but for the time being, there'll be some traffic directed through those residential neighborhoods. So we'll try to keep that to a minimum where we can.
So any update for us, Elliot?
In the middle of typing a hopefully not too long email with some information about my trip. And some photos from the Netherlands that I think are really, really cool and informative. And thank goodness for Google Maps. I did exactly what I thought I was going to see when I went there, because I get bored on Friday afternoons occasionally and noodle around on that. So I'm hoping to provide some informed insight as to what I saw out there. My preview in one sentence might be: the Dutch have solved traffic. And that, otherwise, no.
Looking forward to that. Our next meeting date is October 9th, 2023 at 5:45 p.m. And just a reminder to the public that we will continue the public hearing at that meeting on item number 6 tonight. So if you'd like to have your voice heard on that, please join us. And I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
Thompson motion.
Samuel second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:25 p.m.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
You bet. See you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us.